Welcome to my land. This is the tiny house DIY project, but let's take a look at the land first. We have a disaster zone of a polytunnel with all of my tools and everything in there. Lots of supplies, lots of wood for building.
So work is still in process.
Yep, work is in progress, very much so. You can even see right here I've got some wood, and that's going to be turned into a pergola for the front of the house.
Nice.
To hold grapevines, give me some shade in the summer and some shelter from the sun, and then in the winter have some rain cover so I have a nice outdoor space to sit in front of the house.
It helps a lot. It extends, it makes extra room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you have such a small house.
Yeah.
And then up here is another chaos zone where I have, I guess, come up and take a look.
And you have cactuses.
I have cactuses.
Yeah.
I have a variety of weeds, aloe vera, just a few little plants.
All these plants were here when you could.
Nope, everything is, there was nothing here really. Even this whole terrace,
Yeah.
it's been extended from about here, and I built it out because I
Okay.
wanted some more space, sort of overlooking, I don't know, having a nice view. The polytunnel here will eventually be gone,
Right.
and I'm hoping to have kind of a whole maybe garden up here with like herbs, medicinal plants, succulents, cactuses, things like that up here, maybe berries and stuff. And the polytunnel will be gone. So this will eventually be sort of a hangout space, workspace, with a tool shed. So this is a foundation, and eventually I'm going to build a timber frame tool shed, and I really like using natural materials, so it'll be made of clay and lime and wood. But that's a project that I've been working on for a really long time. I actually arrived here knowing that I wanted to do something like this. And so over the years, I've been picking up skills. So I've taken lots of natural building courses. I've taken a timber framing course in Costa Rica. Anytime I travel, I also try to volunteer at places doing something similar so I can learn things about growing. And there's often building projects on the go as well. And then I did this sort of disaster volunteering thing for about 3 years, traveling all around the world after disasters, and there was a big building component to that. So I didn't go in knowing much, but with each project we'd do different building things, working with mostly conventional materials like concrete blocks and things like that. But you pick up all these little skills along the way, and now I feel reasonably confident to have a go, kind of trying anything, because I feel like if you have the time and the patience, you can sort of figure things out if you're interested in learning. So that's what I'm doing. So I have a rough plan, and we'll see how it goes. So I've got a water tank here, a compost toilet.
Are you collecting rainwater?
Around the corner? No, I'm not actually.
No?
I
Okay.
have gutters on the back of the house that currently just go nowhere. So eventually, my plan is to have kind of catch the water, send it sort of through a wall, and then down the land. Because this property here, and this house behind me, it belongs to the neighbors.
Okay.
So I eventually want to kind of enclose this whole space with using cob. You make like a really thick wall out of mud, and then I'll send sort of the rainwater pipe through that, and then down the land, hopefully into some maybe future ponds or things like that. So,
Okay.
So I'm definitely in the early stages, but I have this sort of grand plan, especially for up here. I'm hoping to make a really nice hangout space.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is temporarily shower.
This is, my
bathroom.
shower's inside, but this is a bucket compost toilet.
Yeah.
So you poop in a bucket, you empty it into a bigger bucket, which is down the land. And it's a temporary solution, but eventually the compost toilet will be here. So it'll still be outside, but it'll be a more secure structure. So when I bought the land, I actually didn't even think too much about the olive trees, but when I counted them up, there's I think 30. And we pick the olives every November. And it's really fun. You get a group of friends together and you all help each other on your farms, and then we split the oil. So it's usually 4 days of work, and you end up with your own olive oil, which I think is pretty cool.
And the lemon tree. I don't think I have seen so many lemons on one tree.
I actually just cut a whole bunch of it back as well, because it's getting really heavy. So this one here, this branch is doing something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to get in here and prune it, but it's not really the season to do it. So I need to just pick the lemons and start using them faster. So if you want any lemons, I can send you home with a bag.
Okay.
This is my cat Larry.
This is a porch.
So this is actually a water tank. Underneath here is a water tank that comes from this hole. I call it the hole of mystery. Water flows from this hole. It's basically a spring coming from the mountain somewhere. And then when I bought the place, they'd built a concrete tank around this spring that really leaked a lot, needed loads and loads of repairs. And then I built this swimming pool, or this splash pool, which is probably filthy right now, but I'll show you anyway. So in here, we've got a pool in desperate need of cleaning. And then it was an open water tank. And in order to protect it from the sun and stop the algae and just have a cool hangout space, my dad built this deck, I think last year, or maybe a couple years ago, I don't remember. Yeah, so this is a great spot.
And the water tank is for to use in the garden water.
So this is, I have a pump under here. See this pipe here?
Yeah.
There's a pump, and I just turn on a switch in my house, and it pumps up to that tank there for the garden water, and then the tank beside the house for washing and everything like that. And then drinking water, I get that from a font, which is maybe a 5-minute drive away. And I just switch the taps around in order to steer the water. I also have another tank over there for my trees on my bottom terrace, and the water is plentiful.
Yeah, so actually your water source here is from the spring.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, it's not from the same spring as the drinking water.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of water sources around this mountain. Yeah. I don't understand them, but all I know is in the summer it gives me enough water. In the winter it gives more than enough water, and that's why the garden is kind of flooded and there's a whole bunch of swampy areas. Yeah. Eventually I'd love to take the overflow from this tank and steer it down the land and have all these like little ponds and things. Yeah. But that's a project for the future. Yeah.
And you mentioned your family visits you every May.
Yep.
Originally, you're from Canada.
Yes. So I'm from Southern Ontario, a place called St. Catharines. And my parents visit in May. They've been maybe, I want to say 4 times. And they're coming in a month again. And they're not the types to come and sit around. So my mom just goes for it in the garden. And my dad always has a building project. So he's done the stairs that you're standing on right now. That was his first project. The trellis over beside the house, this deck, a whole bunch of things. And my mom has been a planting and weed pulling machine as well. So yeah, so it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the projects will be, but we'll find something to do. So the garden was basically just nothingness, just grass. And so I've built a whole bunch of beds. It's obviously very weedy. But this is, it's been raining constantly. Yeah. This is my excuse. It's been raining constantly, and so it's been difficult to get out on the land and do anything. So I'm going to tackle this, get things in the ground, and I'm looking forward to that. This is my favorite time of the year. So I have some possibly dead raspberries. I've got a grapefruit tree that I planted.
Oh, nice.
A lime tree over there. That's a plum tree.
And how big is the property you got?
It's 1,800 square meters, which I think is a half an acre. And it's plenty. It's plenty. I wish I had maybe a bit more space for some more fruit trees, but it's for one person who's also doing a building project. It's a lot to manage, and I think it's probably the perfect size. Yeah. Yeah.
Because in Portugal, if you own bigger land, you still have to trim a weed as well for the fire hazards, right? So it would be extra work.
Yeah, most people with a big property will get a tractor in.
Okay. Yeah, if you can. Sometimes the land, the terrain is so difficult.
Yeah, exactly. You have like crazy slopes or terraces. Like a tractor wouldn't be able to get on here. Yeah. But luckily for me, I really like to strim, the machine that you just strap on. It's one of my favorite things to do, weirdly. Okay. And it's a perfect size to like be able to cut your grass, and by the end of it, you still like strimming. And you do it a few times a year. So it's
like a meditation.
I think so, yeah. And I've got an electric strimmer, so it's not so noisy and smelly. So you can just put your headphones in and just go for it. So that's nice. That tree over there, it's some kind of a neem tree, and it just started like a little stick.
Oh, really? Okay.
Probably about 4 years ago as well.
Yeah.
That apple tree is maybe 3 years old. I've planted loads of trees over there. I've killed many trees. So I tried avocados in that spot twice. They perished. I tried a walnut tree. That's gone. So I don't know if it's something about that spot over there, but now I'm probably going to turn it into a parking spot. And this apple tree is kind of looking okay, but I've got an apple tree on the bottom terrace, which is just an abomination.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of learning pruning as I go, and it's pretty tricky, but satisfying.
Yeah. And these olive trees are the border.
No, there's another terrace.
There's another.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's go. Watch out for the swamp. So I currently have the overflow of my tank, my water tank, just kind of going over there.
So you have too much water.
I've got too much water, yeah.
Well, 1 month of rain.
Well, even in the summer though, the water just keeps mysteriously flowing, so I don't question it.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from. I hope it never stops. But I also have a well down here as well.
Oh, so, you do have, okay.
Yeah, so this part of Portugal, like sort of immediately here, there's lots of water coming off the mountain.
Yeah.
I think as you travel further out to more like the flatter areas, it gets a bit more droughty. So this is my border here. Those olive trees just there. I've got a pecan tree. I think I planted this guy a couple years ago. And I always think it's about to die, but I see some signs of life, so that's a good thing. Japanese pear. I think it's called a nashi.
Okay.
That tree there, and then a peach tree. So I planted all these ones myself. And this is a pear tree. And then that's another pear. These orange trees were here, and then this is my embarrassing apple tree. It's pretty sad. So this needs some kind of pruning rescue, and I'm not exactly sure what to do. And then this is the true chaos land. I went in there recently for the first time, and that's another water cistern, concrete thing around a suspected spring. And then there's a well just here as well. I don't know if you want to try to get in.
So all this land is like off the grid, or you have electricity?
No, it's off grid. Mm-hmm. So you can see some power lines here overhead.
Yeah.
But those are like super duper power. Like it's not the kind of thing that you would be able to tap into.
Yeah.
It's just taking power from whatever, somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like a highway that brings somewhere else from somewhere else.
So it's kind of frustrating to be under power lines and not have power. I'm not super precious about being off-grid. For me, being off-grid allows me to maybe be in a more rural place and not have to worry about connecting to facilities, but it's not like a principal thing or anything. It was nice. There was storms last week and the whole village lost their power. So it was nice to be on solar at that point.
You were the only one with lights on.
Yeah, but then if it rains for like too many days in a row, suddenly I don't have any power. So, you take it and leave it. But yeah, so far it's been really good. My system's quite small, but the sun shines a lot in Portugal, so it's fine.
Right. So the whole land was like this when you bought it?
Yeah. Well, I came in August, so it would have been like this, but dry and crispy.
Yeah.
And as I approached, I was still thinking about buying the land. There was an old woman who owns some land around, probably like 85 or something. And she was shaking her hand at me about like cutting the grass because it's a fire hazard. I'm like, I don't own the place. Like, I don't own the place yet. So that was the first thing I did when I got in. I had somebody come in and cut the grass. Because, it gets really dangerous. Yeah. So it'll get really, really high.
Yeah.
So I've strimmed, but this is kind of what it was like here.
And that is the border, the fence.
Yeah, this wall is the border. And that's where I was saying there's another possible spring over there.
Cool. To put sauna, spring.
Well, I love a sauna.
Hot tub.
Yeah, I love a sauna. We have plans. We have plans for a sauna. I don't know, though. Maybe I have a splash pool up there, but I like the idea of like a sauna tucked away and another little splash pool down here. Maybe a hot tub, something like that. Yeah. But that's like a 2030 plan. That's far in the future.
And so the idea was just you don't want animals, just a garden or.
I think I like making my life as easy as possible. So I'd like to have chickens in the future. Yeah. But chickens require a chicken coop, and they require some upkeep to get them going. People say that they're easy, but it's not zero work.
Yeah, compared to goats, maybe.
Exactly. So I mean, like goats and sheep and things for cutting the grass come with other problems of like diseases. A friend of mine has sheep. Like I know what's involved with those. I like the idea of rent a sheep, where you just like get a couple of sheep and then they kind of go on a little lead or something around your place and cut the grass. But I don't want like any big animals myself. But chickens definitely, maybe rabbits. Yeah. even my cats, like I have 2 cats, but I was not ready to get cats because I'm building, I'm busy, I've got lots of stuff, but they just kind of found me.
Okay.
So I was initially reluctant, but now, I'm happy to have them.
Yeah.
But I don't want to introduce anything into my system yet until I feel like I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I'm so busy with the building. Even planting trees was probably a bit too much because they took a lot of upkeep in the early days. I mean, I'm obviously happy that I had them. People say like the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago or something. So I think putting trees in the ground as the first thing I did, I don't regret it, but it was a lot of work. And I think you just, as long as you keep in mind like how much work everything is,
Yeah.
and only introduce stuff when you're ready for it, then kind of, so chickens, one day.
Any tip or advice to what to be aware of when you're looking for land in Portugal?
Well, first of all, I'd say I came here in 2017 and I volunteered at a place nearby. And that allowed me to sort of check out the community, meet a lot of people, learn a lot of things about living in the area. And so I think maybe thinking about the community as a whole, in addition to the land you want, is good advice. Also, definitely get a lawyer involved.
So it's important to have a lawyer.
Yep. I mean, I got a lawyer. My land cost just under 14,000 euros, and the lawyer was something like 500 euros.
But lawyer at the end when you sign all the papers to make it legal, or?
Yes, that's part of it, but you also want them to be able to tell you what you can do on the land and can't do. I think a lot of people here will be told a certain thing by the seller or by the real estate agent that's not true. I've heard some horror stories. And so just to keep yourself safe, if the land is cheap, it's probably for a reason. Get somebody to look over all the documents. Don't go it alone. Maybe if you speak Portuguese, if you're from Portugal, maybe certain things are straightforward, but for me, I just think it's good advice to pay that extra money. Even though I was on a budget, pay that extra money is really, really good. A good way to spend the money to solve, to prevent problems in the future. Yeah.
To have kind of security feeling.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if the lawyer screws things up, but I definitely know I had a lot of potential for screwing stuff up, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture or the area. So it just takes away a big chunk of worry, I think, if you do that. Other than that, I guess just arrive with a list of things you want. Probably know that you're not going to get everything. Figure out what you're willing to sacrifice. And just go for it.
All right, thanks for watching. If you want to see the house tour, it will be in the second video right here.